Most of us probably know the story of Noah and the ark and how the great flood came. But I wanted to share something just a tad bit different and not really add to the story, but give you something else to think about. In chapter 6 of Genesis, God tells Noah, I want you to build yourself an ark. And in verse 18, he gives him the directions and kind of the blueprints on what he's supposed to do. And Noah, we learn in chapter 7, verse 5, that Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. And we know through the story that Noah did actually build the ark, and that they entered into the ark along with the animals and his family. In verse 16 in chapter 7, we also notice something particular, that God shut the door to the ark. And basically what God did was he sealed them in. What's kind of funny about that is in this time, and I know this isn't a funny time, but that Noah was kind of quarantined to that ark along with his family and all these animals. And what we may not have known was that Noah was in that ark along with his family and those animals for roughly a year. I'm going to give you just a second to let that sink in, and for you to think about that. Inside of an ark with a bunch of animals and your family for almost a year, maybe a little over a year, depending on the scholars that you look to. Some say up to about 370 days, some say about 360 days, but roughly a year inside of an ark. Now here's the ironic part. No Facebook, no Netflix, no YouTube, no grocery stores just to get out and say, well, we need more milk, to give you an excuse to get out of the house for a little bit. I know this self-isolation hasn't been easy on everybody, but at a time like this, it's definitely a must. But you're stuck inside an ark, no video games, no cell phones. It was just Noah and his family and a bunch of animals. And I thought about this, and I thought, what would you do for almost a year inside of an ark without technology? I mean, how would you spend your days? So I thought, probably spend a lot of time working. I'm sure keeping up those animals, and they had to prepare food and stuff. I'm sure that wasn't an easy task, but God saw Noah, saw that he was a righteous man, and said, this is the man for the job. But I can almost imagine that there were times during that year period when Noah would walk up to the top of the ark and stand out and look out at the water. And he might possibly think, Lord, I don't really feel blessed right now. I've been stuck in this ark for 300 days, 320 days. Lord, it's been 321 days. Lord, 322 days. Lord, 323 days. Is this a blessing or a curse? But the simple fact of the matter is that Noah had basically two choices. One, to do what the Lord told him to and secure his livelihood, or two, be disobedient and perish in the flood. Luckily for us, Noah chose to honor the Lord's commands, and he built the ark, and the Lord saved him and his family. Ultimately, it was through self-isolation. Noah chose to isolate himself, and the rest of the world chose not to. And we know as the story goes on that Noah did eventually come out of the ark, and God told him and his family to replenish the earth. So there is a happy ending to this, but for Noah, I'm sure that there were times when the animals and his family and pure boredom pushed every button and got on every nerve. Noah probably spent a lot of time talking to the Lord. So I wanted to share this with you to tell you that, we're definitely not the first to go through this. This is a unique situation. Noah was in a unique situation. But Noah prevailed. So I wanted to encourage you today to know that when God is in control and when God is in command and you allow him to be King and the Lord, that he's got this. So keep your head up, self-isolate, take precautions when you do have to go out. You're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for everybody else too. Everybody that you come in contact with, your friends, your family, you do it for their sakes too. So I encourage you through the Word of God to self-isolate, but also to keep your head up. Spend some time in prayer. Spend some time in the Word. Give God the opportunity to speak to you today. Love you guys. Thanks.